Jiang Bai crossed into the world of ice hunting and faced a divine choice at the beginning. Option 1. A lifetime of wealth, go to Shenzhen to start a business, reward a luxury car, demolish a building. Wealth is unparalleled. Option 2. Military heroes, go to the conscription office to report and obtain a spot in the Special Operations Unit. Master-level fighting skills. Take control of the world. Option 3. Endless hero, follow Huang Zongwei to the Golden Triangle to gain master-level reconnaissance and counter-reconnaissance skills, and increase IQ by 100. Faced with choices, Jiang Bai said, I want both money and power. Awakening to the power of the world, lying drunk on the knees of beauty. As a result, Jiang Bai created his own dark empire in the Golden Triangle. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Crossing the Ice Hunt and Encountering Huang Zongwei. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding dong, congratulations on the host's journey to the world of ice hunting. Please make the best choice based on the current situation. Option 1. Prosperity for life, go to Shenzhen to start a business, reward one luxury car, and demolish one building. Option 2. Military heroes, go to the conscription office to report and obtain a spot in the Special Operations Unit, master-level fighting skills. Option 3. Endless hero, follow Huang Zongwei to the Golden Triangle to gain master-level reconnaissance and counter-reconnaissance skills, and increase IQ by 100. Listening to the extremely clear sound in my ear. Jiang Bai's heart suddenly felt a sense of confusion. Ice hunting world. 3 options. What are all these? Suddenly, a wave of memories surged into his heart, making him understand the current situation. Firstly, he traveled to ice hunting movies and became a distant relative of Uncle Zhong. Because of his honesty and reliable handling of affairs, he was arranged by his uncle to take care of Huang Zongwei's old house. Ding dong, report back to the host. You still have 1 minute to choose, please hurry up. Listen to the system prompt sound in your ear. Jiang Bai quickly calmed down and began to think. The first option, I have to say, is very tempting. Just that demolished building will be worth billions in the future. It is definitely not a difficult thing to live a life of prosperity. But soon, Jiang Bai decisively gave up this option. As for the reason, it is quite simple. Pifu is innocent, Huaibi is guilty. In this chaotic 1980s and 1990s, if you had no background, no strength, and no wealth, you might one day be targeted and die on the streets. Even if one is lucky enough not to die, they are just a wealthy man with no power, a small department head, who can play themselves until their family is ruined. As for the second option, the path of joining the army, Jiang Bai carefully considered it and decisively gave up. As for the reason, it is even simpler. The feast has passed. To quickly advance within the military, one must either have a strong relationship or have practical experience in combat. Nowadays, the 10-year war on the southern border has come to an end. This means that in the next 5 to 30 years, the backbone of the military will undoubtedly belong to the young faction who have shed blood in the war. Even if Jiang Bai has the support of the system, at most it will be the end of the school official. Even if one is lucky enough to become a major general, in the next decade or so, everything will have to make way for economic development. Having power but no money is even more painful than dying. Thinking of this, Jiang Bai's gaze finally stopped at the third option. After just 1 second of pause, Jiang Bai said in a deep voice, "System, I choose option 3. The reason why Jiang Bai chose option 3 is quite simple. Follow Huang Zongwei to the Golden Triangle, although there are many dangers, risks and opportunities coexist. If you die halfway, then there's nothing to say. But if successful, it would be a double income of money and power. A soil emperor who may not even become the Golden Triangle, that's not necessarily true. Awakening to the power of the world, lying drunk on the knees of beauty. Husband, that's how it should be. Ding dong, congratulations on the successful host selection, obtaining master-level reconnaissance and anti-reconnaissance skills, and increasing IQ by 100. Boom. Jiang Bai only felt that a large amount of knowledge flooded into his mind. With the improvement of intelligence, Jiang Bai felt that his ideological dimension had suddenly taken a step up. He moved his heart and casually picked up the nearby biochemical principles to flip through. The previously obscure and difficult to understand theoretical knowledge is now as simple as 1 plus 1. For a moment, Jiang Bai was immersed in the ocean of knowledge, completely intoxicated. Uncle, let's close the factory these days. We must clean it up and never show any signs of dishonesty. Away, don't worry about me handling things. You don't need to burn down the factory directly. This way, there won't be any traces. Uncle. We closed the factory, no one would doubt anything, but if you set fire to it, the fire department and public security will come over and everyone will have to finish playing. In the sound from far to near. Huang Zongwei and his honest middle-aged uncle arrived at the yard. Looking at the clean and almost spotless old courtyard being cleaned. Huang Zongwei's eyes showed a hint of surprise as he said, "Uncle, who is helping to take care of this courtyard?" "He is a distant relative of mine who has good academic performance but doesn't have the money to go to college, so he can only join me." As he spoke, Uncle Zhong shouted at the yard, "Jiang Bai, come out quickly." There was no movement at all. I could only vaguely hear the sound of flipping through books inside the room. Huang Zongwei's eyebrows furrowed slightly. This is the first time he has seen such a big frame. Away, don't be angry. Jiang Bai may be reading a book and didn't hear anything. Uncle cleared the scene while opening the door. In his sight, a handsome young man was staring at a heavy book with a focused expression. Sharp-eyed Huang Zongwei recognized at a glance that this was a professional book he had borrowed from the university library. It is filled with my own learning insights and chemical equation deduction. This not only makes Huang Zongwei somewhat nostalgic for the lush years of learning back then. But at this moment, Huang Zongwei suddenly noticed. The boy named Jiang Bai picked up a pen and drew a big cross on his chemical equation deduction. Subsequently, like a flowing stream, the young man rewrote the correct chemical equation deduction. Boom! Every stroke of the youth trembled like thunder and lightning in Huang Zongwei's heart. This seemingly insignificant equation deduction is actually a crucial step in manufacturing drugs. Once upon a time, I spent so much effort and wasted so much time deducing this equation. Almost hoping for the attitude of my grandfather telling my grandmother, I luckily learned the answer from an old professor. And now, the young man in front of me. But it was casually outlined in a casual manner. How can Huang Zongwei not be excited about this? How not to be overjoyed? Talent. This is the high-tech talent that I have been dreaming of. Excited, Huang Zongwei immediately turned around and spoke to Uncle Zhong. "Uncle Zhong, I want this child." Chapter 2. He is a demon. Huang Zongwei's shock. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Away, you're not joking, are you? Jiang Bai is just a poor boy who hasn't grown a hair yet. Aren't you afraid he'll cause trouble? Uncle Zhong, who doesn't recognize a single character, naturally doesn't know what every stroke of Jiang Bai's pen means to Huang Zongwei. He only knows one thing. What Huang Zongwei is going to do is too dangerous. It's far from something that Jiang Bai, a young man with a rough head, can handle. Instead of dying in a daze outside, it's better to marry and have children under your own protection, and live a simple life. A poor boy with unfinished hair. It's like hearing a big joke. Huang Zongwei said with a fanatical expression, "Uncle, do you know that even the equations he wrote are worth 1 million? What? The price? Worth 1 million. The middle-aged man was stunned and said, "Away, I'm getting older, but I can't make such a joke. Huang Zongwei didn't have time to talk nonsense to Uncle Zhong. He went straight to Jiang Bai and urgently said, "Jiang Bai, are you willing to follow me to the Golden Triangle to make a fortune?" At this moment, Jiang Bai suddenly woke up and looked at Huang Zongwei, who was close by and had a burning gaze. Jiang Bai immediately realized that his opportunity had come. At the moment, he also spoke out very happily, "Of course I do. When will I leave?" Huang Zongwei was a bit surprised and said, "Don't you ask me what I'm going to the Golden Triangle for. Isn't it just drug production?" Jiang Bai said calmly, "Uncle told me a long time ago." Huang Zongwei turned his head and glanced at Uncle Zhong. The response was an awkward smile. Huang Zongwei withdrew his gaze and patted Jiang Bai's shoulder, saying, "Can you drive? Follow me to the train station to pick up a boss. After meeting, remember to call him Boss He." "Boss He? Is that right?" Jiang Bai handed over a newspaper with the headline reading, "A malignant shooting case occurred inside the Royal KTV in Sanping City, and the police are currently making every effort to pursue He Hongzhang." Below is a photo of the victim lying on the ground. Blood stains covered the ground, looking very ferocious. Huang Zongwei's heart sank. He never expected that this pig teammate would cause such a commotion. "Dude," it went straight to the newspaper. Looking at Huang Zongwei's solemn expression, Jiang Bai spoke out. "If we are going to pick him up today, I can responsibly tell you that we definitely won't be able to pick him up today. Can't you pick it up?" Huang Zongwei hesitated slightly and said, "What do you mean by that?" "The reason is very simple," Jiang Bai said casually, pointing to the victim's photo in the newspaper. From the trauma and bleeding of the wound, this unlucky guy was hit by a 7.62 mm bullet that penetrated through the wound. But with Boss He's ability, if he perseveres, it will be just the whole dirt gun. If it's a standard firearm, then the police force deployed now is not the police, but the armed police. The police can fully investigate the hardware stores throughout the city based on this clue. As long as they find the shop owner who stole and sold this type of local gun, they will indirectly find He Hongzhang. Now, 5 days have passed since the incident occurred. Jiang Bai looked at Huang Zongwei and said with a smile, "Brother, what do you think the police are doing now with their efficiency?" As soon as these words were spoken, Huang Zongwei's face changed slightly. He never expected that this young man's logical reasoning ability would be so terrifying. It was only through a photo that such intelligence was inferred. If what Jiang Bai said is true, so the Sanping railway station may have been set up by the police for a long time. Now in the past, not only can we not receive anyone but also not speak. It's also easy to get yourself involved. Huang Zongwei's face changed for a long time. He took out his big brother from his pocket and quickly hit He Hongzhang's big brother, but he couldn't get through to anything. Then, using a pager, he sent a message to He Hongzhang not to come back. It seems to have noticed Huang Zongwei's irritability. Uncle carefully asked, "Away, what do you plan to do now? What should I do? What should I do?" Huang Zongwei muttered back and forth 2 or 3 times before suddenly getting angry and saying, "I don't know what to do either." After a while, Huang Zongwei calmed down and said, "Uncle, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have been angry with you." Uncle waved his hand, indicating that it was okay. "Let's go to the train station and take a look." Huang Zongwei threw the car key to Jiang Bai and said, "If the police really set up control at the train station, then we'll leave today." Upon hearing this, Jiang Bai nodded and calmly accepted it. He was not surprised at all that Huang Zongwei would make such a choice. After all, no matter how well-founded one's own words are, they will ultimately be one-sided. For Huang Zongwei, who only had one chance encounter with him, he must see for real before gradually believing in himself. Jiang Bai is mentally prepared for this. Looking at Jiang Bai's calm expression, Huang Zongwei seemed to have thought of something and smiled, saying, "How can't I tell you're a little nervous? If what you're saying is true, we'll stay here for an extra minute, which would be a bit more dangerous. Jiang Bai smiled slightly and said, so what about danger? What about desperate situations? I don't care at all. This sentence caught Huang Zongwei's interest. Oh. It seems that you are very confident in escaping the police's arrest. Not bad, Jiang Bai said with a smile. I have prepared 3 contingency plans specifically for this. 3 types. Huang Zongwei smiled, clearly skeptical. Which 3? Originally, Huang Zongwei just casually said it and didn't take it to heart. Until Jiang Bai handed him a dry paper note. There are 3 escape routes densely written on it. Not only are various precautions detailed, but there are also brief sketches. What surprised Huang Zongwei even more was these 3 contingency plans are all based on the premise of going to the train station. That is to say, the kid in front of me is not only certain that I will take him away. And I'm pretty sure I'm determined to go to the train station. This immediately shocked Huang Zongwei's mood beyond measure. Without a doubt. This is a genius. No. This is a demon. Unexpectedly, Huang Zongwei suddenly thought of a sentence. Who is the enemy of the heroes of the world? Chao Lu. When giving birth, be like Sun Zhongmo. And the kid in front of me is the living Sun Zhongmo. Chapter 3. Public Provocation. Train station pretends to be a police officer. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 3. Crazy. You drug dealer taught a lesson in public. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jiang Bai can drive, in Huang Zongwei's opinion. This is clearly a lie. It is evident from his clumsy and unfamiliar ignition method. Within the next 5 minutes. Huang Zongwei, however, became more and more frightened as he looked at it. I almost bumped into a corner from the beginning. Until now, overtaking has been smooth and taking a shortcut. Jiang Bai's performance is becoming more and more effortless. When he arrived at the train station, Jiang Bai even made an extremely beautiful drift turn, attracting frequent glances from passers-by around. It has also aroused the curiosity and scrutiny of many single women. Brother, didn't it scare you? It's just a small storm, Huang Zongwei asked calmly. It's my first time driving. I've driven it a few times, Jiang Bai nodded and calmly flattered. It's just the first time I've driven such a good car, so I'm a bit nervous. You're so nervous. Huang Zongwei's heart is like a clear mirror. Along the way, Jiang Bai's body remained in a relaxed state. This is a world of difference from the novice driver I just met. If it weren't for the person recommended by Uncle Zhong, knowing the route and bottom. Huang Zongwei has reason to doubt this terrifying learning ability alone. Is this an undercover agent sent by the police to his side? But soon, Huang Zongwei silently extinguished this crazy idea. What kind of onion are you? As for how the police deal with themselves. After silent self-deprecation. Huang Zongwei suddenly saw it. A tall middle-aged man with a Chinese character face and bright eyes is anxiously pacing back and forth at the train station. Huang Zongwei's heart sank. At this moment, he recognized the other party. Captain of the Criminal Investigation Squadron in Sanping City. Lu Hao. Since this person appeared here, it directly led to 2 worst-case outcomes. Firstly, He Hongzhang has entered the police's sight. Being caught is at most a matter of time. Secondly, my plan to buy a ticket from the train station and leave was dashed. If you get on the train with a lucky mentality, that's basically no different from dying. Huang Zongwei, who was restless in his heart, frowned tighter as he thought about it. Helpless, he could only attract attention by taking the exam to teach Jiang Bai. Jiang Bai, what do you think is the most crucial element in our drug manufacturing industry? When he said this, Huang Zongwei focused on the word drug production. The implied meaning is very obvious. If it were an ordinary person, it would be easy for them to fall into Huang Zongwei's logical thinking trap and answer questions that are not right. Jiang Bai is different. With the blessing of terrifying intelligence, Jiang Bai hardly hesitated at all, and then said the correct answer in Huang Zongwei's heart. Of course, it's to identify the note and then avoid it. Smart. Up the road. Surprised, Huang Zongwei became increasingly satisfied with Jiang Bai. He cautiously pointed out the window and whispered, "So, do you think anyone around here might be a note?" Jiang Bai shook his head. Huang Zongwei's heart was filled with joy. "Good kid. I really thought you knew everything." Just as Huang Zongwei was planning to pass on his experience and lessons to Jiang Bai as an elder. Jiang Bai's next words directly shocked Huang Zongwei's chin. "I don't know how to identify notes, but I know the simplest way." Watching Jiang Bai open the car door and prepare to get off, Huang Zongwei was confused and said, "What are you planning to do?" "Ask the note." In Huang Zongwei's stunned gaze. As Jiang Bai walked, he picked out a few cotton strips from the inner lining of his clothes and quietly stuffed them into his cheeks on both sides. This small shop faces north and south, located at an intersection, with a panoramic view of the entire situation. According to the urine nature of the note, it is difficult not to distribute points here. Sure enough, in his sight, a small man with an inch head was looking around. You can smell the smell of stripes on each other from a long distance. "Lao Shi, come and report ***, boss, come and pack ***, oh. Ah. What do you want?" said the little man, who was stunned for a moment. Jiang Bai rolled his eyes and said word by word, "Central. South. See, pretty guy." With the support of the cotton strip, Jiang Bai struggled to speak, to the point where he even spat a lot of saliva. "Is that right?" "Just a moment." The inch-headed young man searched around aimlessly, sweating profusely. Upon seeing this, Jiang Bai sneered and said, "You pounce, at your level, you're still just plain clothes. Don't even talk about drug dealers, ghosts are scared away by you." "Ah." The inch-headed young man suddenly became clever and said with a flustered expression, "What are you talking about? Come on, come on." Jiang Bai impatiently waved his hand and said, "Call your boss over, I want to tell him something." The little man with an inch head pretended to be foolish and said, "I just started buying and selling." "What's the boss?" "Don't play dumb, brother." Jiang Bai couldn't help but say, "He Hongzhang has already run away." "What? He Hongzhang ran away?" The suddenly raised tone of the inch-headed boy caught Lu Hao's attention in an instant. "What happened here?" Lu Hao strode over and asked in a deep voice, "Kid, which company are you from?" "Of course it's from Guangning." Jiang Bai said angrily when facing Lu Hao, "I thought you had 2 brushes, but I couldn't even catch a little ghost." As he spoke further, Jiang Bai became more and more angry. In the end, he spoke in a tone of hatred that made it difficult for him to catch even He Hongzhang. "What else can you do?" Now, it's not just Lu Hao who is confused. Even Huang Zongwei, who was eavesdropping in the dark, became confused. "No, it's not. This kid dares to scold the police. What is this all about?" Although Huang Zongwei couldn't understand. But in his heart, he was greatly shocked. Chapter 4. Inverted Heavenly Gang. The drug dealers began to command the police. You are listening at novelfull.audio. "Captain, this person has a Guangning accent and knows He Hongzhang. Can he be a colleague from Guangning?" Listening to the report from his subordinates, Lu Hao suddenly had a guess in his heart. But he still asked calmly, "Comrade, do you have any identification documents that can prove your identity?" "Yes, there is, but now that the mission is out, I cannot expose my identity with that thing." Jiang Bai looked up and down at Lu Hao and said, "It seems you're their head, right? Let's talk about it in another place." Lu Hao also looked at Jiang Bai, with a young face, an arrogant attitude, but an extraordinary demeanor. If it's not in the same industry. So he is definitely a criminal with a big heart. After all, in the territory of Sanping, most people have never left this place in their lifetime. Lack of knowledge and shallow vision. Not many people can be like this young man. Surrounded by a group of police officers, one can still remain calm and composed. Arrogant, confident, with profanity in your mouth. This is very consistent with his impression of colleagues in Guangning. It's not impossible to change places, Lu Hao said aloud. But you have to first explain what happened when He Hongzhang ran away. For Lu Hao, capturing He Hongzhang was a top priority. Only by catching this kid can we follow the clues and find the creator of the new drug. They worked tirelessly for a week on this case. To be able to capture He Hongzhang in a steady manner. But this kid said, He Hongzhang has run away. For Lu Hao, this is an unacceptable thing no matter what. Faced with the inquiry, Jiang Bai calmly said, it's a simple truth. Do you think a mouse like He Hongzhang would appear in a grand manner at the train station? If I were him, either get off early or change the route, I wouldn't get off at the train station. At this point, Jiang Bai suddenly spoke up and asked, have you set up control at the first two stations in Sanping City? Lu Hao's expression suddenly became awkward. To be honest, he really didn't expect this. Isn't it? Jiang Bai boasted with a look on his face, you didn't even think of that. Lu Hao's expression became increasingly awkward. How can you prove that you are right? The little man with a small head refused, He Hongzhang can't be as powerful as you said. Is it true? I'll know soon. Jiang Bai glanced at the timetable and said, 448 has entered the station. Woo 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 woo. Amidst the piercing sound of the train whistle, Lu Hao's scalp tingled and he jumped up like a spring, shouting angrily, let's go. Follow me to catch someone. A group of people went crazy and rushed in. But the result is that no one can be found. Lu Hao found the police officer and took out a photo of He Hongzhang, saying, have you ever seen this person? The train attendant glanced and said, I think I've seen it before. Lu Hao's spirit shook and his face lit up with joy. Where is he? I have already got off the bus, the police officer shook his head and continued, he got off the bus at the previous station. Lu Hao's smile instantly stiffened on his face. I was really hit by that colleague from Guangning. Everyone walked out dejected. How about it? A few officers. Jiang Bai held a toothpick that he couldn't find from somewhere, picking his teeth and muttering incoherently, did he not catch it? The crowd glared angrily. Comrade, what's your name? Lu Hao spat out and said, Jiang Bai. Comrade Jiang Bai, let's talk from another place. Jiang Bai pointed to the small restaurant next to him and said, can you treat me to a meal? What kind of food to eat? Follow us back to the police station, said the inch-headed young man in defiance. Jiang Bai sneered, I understand why you can't catch anyone. Lu Hao suppressed his anger and looked serious, what do you mean by that? You have too little fireworks on your body. Jiang Bai looked at everyone with a disdainful expression on his face. Look at your attire, look at your hairstyle, I wish I could tell the world you're a cop. At your level, if you were in Guangning, you would have been killed by drug dealers 100 times already. Jiang Bai waved his hand and walked towards the restaurant with a look of not wanting to talk much. You. The little man with an inch head erupted in anger and was about to kick him over. But it was stopped by Lu Hao. Let's go, come with him. Captain, you just let him keep pushing us. What's the point, said the inch-headed young man still unconvinced. Lu Hao said with a complex expression, just because he has more abilities than us. You have a damn ability, the little man with a short head said with a displeased expression on his face. Judging from his carefree demeanor, he looks like a street thug. Lu Hao asked in response, even you think he's a thug? Do you think the drug dealers will recognize him? The little man with an inch head suddenly stopped talking. Lu Hao continued to ask in response, like his carefree demeanor, have you learned anything? What's so difficult about this? Lu Hao stared calmly. I can't learn it, said the young man with an inch head. His momentum instantly weakened. Lu Hao withdrew his gaze and turned to look at Jiang Bai's back with a complex expression, saying, just this, they have more skills than you. Learn a little, otherwise they will really become frogs at the bottom of the well. After saying these words, Lu Hao strode over with a meteor. In the flower pond. Watching the entire process, Huang Zongwei was completely dumbfounded. He never expected that Jiang Bai would not only kill alone in the note, and also successfully gained the trust of the police. Even more terrifying is the current situation. This group of police officers were being led by Jiang Bai's nose from beginning to end. For a moment, Huang Zongwei's breathing became rapid, and his heart was both scared and happy. What's scary is that if Jiang Bai is really a police officer, it's absolutely impossible for oneself to escape. Fortunately, Jiang Bai is one of his own. With the help of such demons, no matter what dire situation one encounters, one can escape from the heavens. Chapter 5, Sir Lu, how about making a transaction? You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the restaurant. Amy, a female migrant worker, put the rice beside Jiang Bai and said, your wonton. Thank you very much, pretty girl. Listening to the familiar accent, the working girl Ame's eyes lit up and she said, from Guangning. It's so cool, Jiang Bai wolfed down. Pretty girl, do you want to come with me? Don't be nervous, I'm not a good person. Virtue. Ami turned around and left in a bad mood. That seductive figure attracted the attention of others in the restaurant. Lu Hao sat across from Jiang Bai's table, lit a cigarette, and watched quietly as the other person wolfed it down. Until Jiang Bai had a mouth full of oil and finished his last sip of soup, he calmly spoke up and asked, Comrade Jiang Bai, could you please explain the purpose of your trip? If it's not convenient, we can. I don't care, Jiang Bai said aloud. I was in charge of a drug lord line called Chang'e in Guangning. Everything was normal until Chang'e started selling your Sanping products. This batch of goods has high purity, good taste, and there is no ephedrine in the ingredients. The name of the supplier is Hongzhang, which you are looking for. Speaking of which, Jiang Bai sighed and said, I never expected that your small city of Sanping could produce such talents. Many drug lords are preparing to come to your place to purchase goods. Your city of Sanping is about to become famous nationwide. Lu Hao instantly transformed into a pig liver face. The faces of others are not very attractive either. They never expected that their side would become famous in this way. If possible. This kind of reputation is not worth it. Comrade Jiang Bai, are you going to participate in this case next? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone immediately sat up straight and perked up their ears. Now the police in Sanping City are embarrassing enough. If we still have to rely on the help of colleagues from other provinces to solve the case, that face is completely disgraced. But Jiang Bai's next words made everyone breathe a sigh of relief. Don't worry, I'm not here to compete with you for credit. Jiang Bai smiled and said, I just came over to confirm if Hongzhang can be caught, as long as we can ensure that the supply of goods in Sanping is cut off. Don't worry about this. Lu Hao patted his chest and promised, within 3 days, we will definitely catch Hongzhang. At this point, Lu Hao made his final probing. Comrade Jiang Bai, you came all the way here alone. Do you have a place to live? Our group of people came over, and I am responsible for the connection. The others are not allowed to show their faces, nor can they. Once the little ghost sees it, it can be dangerous. Jiang Bai paused for a moment and said with a smile on his face, if Chief Lu still doesn't trust my identity, he can send someone to follow me to check my documents. I didn't mean that. Lu Hao waved his hand, but he breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. According to internal police regulations, tasks outside the province should be carried out in groups of at least 2 people. One is to provide mutual support, and the other is if it is necessary to cooperate with the local police. That requires one person to be in the open, to make contact, and one person to be in the dark, to keep the task going. This was all learned through the blood of countless ancestors. Not to mention being a drug dealer, even many novice police officers only know about these small details after completing their missions. Therefore, Lu Hao also completely let go of Jiang Bai. As the saying goes, when going out, there are many friends and many paths. Jiang Bai took out a cigarette and Lao Shen said, if you're traveling together, then naturally you're friends. For the sake of friends, I'll do you a favor. What can you do as a stranger? Although there is some disapproval in my heart. But Lu Hao still smiled and asked, Comrade Jiang Bai, what do you plan to help? Jiang Bai you never stopped saying, for example, where is he Hongzhang? Boom. This sentence is like a thunderbolt. Exploding loudly in everyone's ears. What? Lu Hao suddenly stood up and raised his voice, how could you know he Hongzhang's whereabouts? The other police officers looked even more like they had seen a ghost. Looking at Jiang Bai's gaze. It's like watching an alien. Don't make such a fuss. Jiang Bai seemed somewhat dissatisfied with everyone's reaction. He should be having a good time at his mistress's house now. If I remember his position correctly, it should be. Watching Jiang Bai pour beans into the bamboo tube, he revealed the whereabouts of He Hongzhang. Lu Haoman was surprised and said, how could you know so clearly? Upon hearing this, Jiang Bai smiled and said, because I'm not stupid, I know how to set up control in the first 2 stations. Lu Hao. The inch-headed young man couldn't help but speak up and ask, since you already know his location, why don't you hurry over and catch him? Faced with the inquisitive gaze of the crowd, Jiang Bai took out a pager from his pocket and said, first of all, I just found out. Secondly, as I said, I won't take credit for you. As soon as Lu Hao said this, he immediately believed most of it. He patted Jiang Bai's shoulder and said, Comrade Jiang Bai, if you really catch him back, I'll treat you to a drink. Lu Hao got up and was about to leave. Jiang Bai stopped Lu Hao and said, slow down. Lu Hao looked at Jiang Bai, his gaze confused. Jiang Bai said calmly, Mr. Lu, I have already helped you. Now it's your turn to help me. Chapter 6. Disguising as a police officer is fine, you're still playing police. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Gentlemen, take your time. Wait until all the police have left. Huang Zongwei just crouched down and walked in through the back door of the restaurant. He pulled Jiang Bai aside and suppressed the flames, saying, Jiang Bai. You're crazy. I'm asking if you're crazy. How dare you do such a bold and reckless thing? Huang Zongwei continued with a stern expression, if He Hongzhang were caught, we wouldn't even be able to leave. Do you know that? Don't worry about this, brother. It's easy to leave. During the conversation, Jiang Bai took out several certificates from his pocket. This comrade carries important official duties and does not need to purchase train tickets through real name registration. The signature is the big character of Lu Haolong Flying Phoenix Dance. Seeing this proof, Huang Zongwei's eyes widened. He tossed and turned for a long time before speaking in an incredulous tone, no, where did you get this from? Although Huang Zongwei has only dealt with Lu Hao a few times, Huang Zongwei believes that he is quite familiar with this person's temperament. Be honest and upright, with a rounded exterior and a square interior. It may seem friendly, but in reality, we strictly follow the rules and regulations without leaving any mercy. Where would it be like now, openly opening the back door? If this is caused by someone with intentions, that will definitely result in disciplinary action. No, how on earth did you get this proof? Faced with Huang Zongwei's surprise, Jiang Bai smiled and said, this has to start with a transaction between me and Lu Hao. Transaction. This immediately aroused Huang Zongwei's curiosity. 5 minutes ago. Mr. Lu, I have already helped you. Now it's your turn to help me. Looking at Jiang Bai with a smile on his face. For a moment, Lu Hao couldn't quite feel the other person's pulse, so he could only speak in a cautious tone and ask, "What are you busy with? If it's within your scope, feel free to talk." "Don't worry, you won't break the discipline," Jiang Bai said with a smile. "I just hope that after catching He Hongzhang, I will personally participate in the interrogation. If I dig up any intelligence related to Brother Chang, my trip will be considered worthwhile." This. Lu Hao suddenly felt a bit embarrassed. From a procedural perspective, this makes sense and there are no disciplinary conflicts. The problem is that the transcript after interrogating the prisoner needs to be signed by the interrogator and the superior supervisor, with one copy kept on file and the other submitted to them. Once you see Jiang Bai's name above, you must know that there is help from colleagues from other provinces. In this way, the leader will definitely not say much. But my impression in the leader's mind is definitely going to decline. Don't be difficult, I'll just ask a few words and not participate in the interrogation or signing. Is that okay? At this point, Jiang Bai spoke in a profound tone, "Don't worry, if I say I don't take credit, then I definitely won't take credit." Looking at Jiang Bai, he looked like he was considering both the inside and outside of his words. Lu Hao became even more awkward and difficult. In this way, the higher-ups must not be aware of this matter. But in this way, there is also suspicion of unauthorized interrogation. I have been cautious and careful all my life, and I cannot make mistakes in this. Seeing that neither this nor that could work for Lu Hao, Jiang Bai suddenly became angry and said, "Look at your thick eyebrows and big eyes. I treat you as a friend, but you don't treat me as a friend at all." Now. Not only is Lu Hao embarrassed. Along with it, his subordinates around him also became embarrassed. After all, others are both providing intelligence and guidance. As a result, our team captain was unwilling to help even with this small favor. It is indeed somewhat unconventional. Facing the general scrutiny of the crowd, Lu Hao felt extremely bitter in his heart, and his face changed for a long time before he finally forced himself and said, "Comrade Jiang Bai, it's not that my brother doesn't treat you as a friend, it's really because. Come on, don't be empty." Jiang Bai impatiently waved his hand and said, "Since that's the case, I'm too lazy to stay here anymore. Can you help me get 2 anonymous tickets? Let's go, okay?" As soon as these words were spoken, the police officer with a small head suddenly became curious and said, "Why does it have to be anonymous?" "Because I'm afraid of death." Jiang Bai couldn't help but say, "I'm here to talk to you guys. No matter if there's a little ghost following behind, I've already been exposed." Once they followed the clues and found the identity of another team member, do you believe that we were stabbed as soon as we got off the train station? As soon as he said this, the inch-headed man fell silent in an instant. Indeed, there may only be a few people from Guangning who travel from Sanping to Guangning in a month. Once registered with a real name, drug traffickers can easily track the information of passengers at the station. This kind of thing is absolutely impossible to happen in small places like Sanping. But in the bustling city of Guangning, such incidents are not uncommon. So, Brother Jiang Bai, I'll provide you with a certificate now. As he spoke, Lu Hao said to Zhao Younan, who had been standing behind him all along, "Go and ask Guangning to confirm whether Jiang Bai's information is true." Understood. In less than 2 minutes, Zhao Younan walked in with an ugly expression on his face. "Captain, the drug dealer named Chang Gu is indeed there, and Guangning is also investigating. As for Jiang Bai's information, it cannot be confirmed." Lu Hao was taken aback and said, "Can't confirm? Are you saying, he's a fake police officer?" Watching Jiang Bai with the old god present, an unnamed anger rose in Lu Hao's heart. "Okay, you kid. Just pretend to be a police officer. You've been playing with me for so long. Chapter 7. Concealing the sky and crossing the sea. Real police officers bring fake police officers. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Zhao Younan felt a bit embarrassed and said, "Captain, it's not fake either." The other party refused to confirm the information. Lu Hao was a bit confused. Refusal to confirm information. His mother. Are the colleagues in Guangning putting on such a big show? Lu Hao patiently said, "What is the specific situation?" Zhao Younan said with a strange expression, "What the other party means is that my level is not enough and I am not qualified to contact. Put on a show." Lu Hao was a bit angry. "Didn't you say I asked?" "I asked." Zhao Younan's expression became even more eerie as he said, "The other party said your level is not good either. We need our director to ask ourselves." Now, Lu Hao remained silent. "My heart is filled with anger. But there's nowhere to vent. From a programming perspective, there's no problem with the other party doing this. But the problem is, the other party has no intention of selling their face at all." Looking at Jiang Bai's face, Lu Hao suddenly realized. "I don't seem to have any face selling this colleague myself. Is this one report at a time?" Lu Hao's mood instantly became complicated. He took out a piece of paper and pen, quickly wrote a certificate, and handed it to Jiang Bai, saying, "Just take this certificate and go to the train station to find Director Zhang. He can tell from the note." Jiang Bai said in a strange voice, "Thank you very much for the great kindness of Chief Lu." Lu Hao knew that Jiang Bai was intentionally squeezing him. But there's no way. Who let themselves suffer first? Let's go. With the order of Lu Hao, a group of police officers followed out. After listening to Jiang Bai's simple narration, Huang Zongwei was stunned for a long time before finally regaining his composure. "Your original purpose was actually for this certificate, right? As for the interrogation of He Hongzhang, it was your cover, wasn't it?" "Yes," Jiang Bai agreed with a smile. "Mr. Lu Sun once said that Chinese people always like to reconcile and compromise. For example, if you say that this room is too dark and you need to open a window here, everyone will definitely not allow it. But if you advocate demolishing the roof, they will come to reconcile and be willing to open the window. And this proof is the window I plan to open." With this statement, Huang Zongwei once again examined Jiang Bai's side from top to bottom. For a long time, Huang Zongwei finally exclaimed, "There have been talented people from all over the country, each leading the way for hundreds of years. Let's go, brother. It's also time for us to leave Sanping now." Jiang Bai looked at the time on the wall and said, "Count the time. He Hongzhang is afraid that he will be caught soon. His mouth is soft and he may not be able to move immediately. Are you planning to use this proof?" Huang Zongwei frowned softly, "The risk is still very high. Once we get on the train, we'll be turtles in a jar." Huang Zongwei understood very well in his heart. All the past will leave traces. Even if the police can't find themselves on the train, that must also be waiting for oneself at the destination. So, the purpose of this certificate can only be used as a smoke bomb. As soon as his thoughts arose, he heard Jiang Baiyan's gentle voice. "Don't worry, brother. This certificate is just for me to use as a smoke bomb." As he spoke, Jiang Bai smiled and took out 2 police certificates from his pocket, saying, "What really needs to be used is this thing." Now, Huang Zongwei exclaimed in amazement, "You kid can do it. Where did you get the fake certificate?" "It's true," Jiang Bai said in a faint voice. "In my recent contact, I took 2 photos. When we change the photos, we can rely on this certificate and escape from life." Huang Zongwei's curiosity was completely aroused. He kept pondering these 2 ID cards in his hands and said with great interest, "How do you plan to escape from Xingtian?" "It's very simple," Jiang Bai said with a smile, of course, let the real police take us on the train. Now, Huang Zongwei became even more curious. But I haven't waited for him to ask out loud yet. Sudden mutation. Bang. Several construction workers suddenly smashed a wine bottle and retorted sternly, I told you I didn't drink beer. Why should I be charged $2 more? You just drank it. Waiter Amy blushed and said, you're farting with your eyes open. You just drank it. The bottle is still here. Upon seeing this scene, Huang Zongwei sighed and said, everyone is suffering, I will spend the rest of my life on my own. After speaking, Huang Zongwei took out 100 yuan and placed it on the table, just about to speak out. Unexpectedly, Jiang Bai held on to Huang Zongwei's hand and watched as the situation escalated. Jiang Bai looked calm and said, brother, choosing to calm down is indeed the safest way, but I feel a bit uncomfortable looking at it. Huang Zongwei seemed to have realized something and advised Jiang Bai, saying, Jiang Bai, don't be impulsive. Being too imposing is not a good thing. Brother, I understand what you're saying. Jiang Bai slowly picked up a wine bottle and said in a voice, but the problem is, I'm still a young person. If you're not confident, are you still called a young person? After finishing speaking, Jiang Bai picked up the wine bottle and smashed it hard at the heads of those troublemakers. Huang Zongwei suddenly laughed. Is that right? If you don't even have any sharpness. What kind of young person is that called? It's really a headache, Huang Zongwei said with disdain, but his body was very sincere. He picked up a bottle of wine with his back hand and joined the battle. 5 minutes later. Watching the troublemaker cry and howl as they leave. Jiang Bai took a deep breath and gasped for breath, brother, do you have any cigarettes? Huang Zongwei smiled silently. Of course there is. While speaking, Huang Zongwei handed Jiang Bai a cigarette, then lit a match and handed it over. Chapter 8. The world is not black or white, but a spirit. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In the jungle behind He Hongzhang's mistress's house. You run. I'll let you keep running. Zhao Yunan's partner, the capable general under Captain Lu Hao, kicked Duan Minghong with a flying kick, knocking down the panicked He Hongzhang to the ground. Tell me quickly, who is the person who manufactures new drugs? Duan Minghong grabbed He Hongzhang's collar and asked in a deep voice, if you don't honestly explain it, then someone will treat you to black coffee. Black coffee. Upon hearing this word, He Hongzhang's face immediately showed fear. Friends who have often been in prison know it. The soda called black coffee refers to pouring hair crumbs into normal coffee. Once consumed, hair debris will prick the intestines and stomach, making it impossible for people to survive or die. He Hongzhang's face changed for a long time. Finally, he gritted his teeth and said, if you say it, it's also death. If you have the ability, just shoot me. You kid. I really can't stand you. Duan Minghong pulled out his pistol with a smile on his face and clasped it on He Hongzhang's forehead. I pulled the trigger cleanly. 1 minute later. Duan Minghong walked out of the jungle and spoke out to Lu Hao, who had been waiting for a long time, Captain, this kid has taken action. I just scared him with an empty gun, and this kid just spat out everything. The person who makes new drugs is called Huang Zongwei. Huang Zongwei. Recalling the bits and pieces of our previous interactions with Huang Zongwei, Lu Hao instantly realized that he had been fooled by this seemingly innocent kid. Immediately mobilize all police officers to search for Huang Zongwei's whereabouts. Also, investigate Huang Zongwei's village again and see if anyone has left recently. Duan Minghong seemed to have thought of something and asked in a tone of inquiry, Captain, do you mean that Huang Zongwei is a gang criminal? It must be like this. Lu Hao nodded and said, this kind of person has a cautious nature. Whenever there is a disturbance, Ken will sneak away with his confidants. And his confidants are probably neighbors. Okay, Captain, I'll go handle it now. 1 hour later. Duan Minghong's phone call came over. As soon as it was connected, Duan Minghong's anxious voice rang out. Captain, things are not going well. We were played with by that kid Jiang Bai. Did Jiang Bai fool you? What the hell is going on here? A hint of unease surged in Lu Hao's heart. What's going on? Take your breath and speak slowly. Besides Huang Zongwei, there is only one young man named Jiang Bai who has recently left. Not only does he have the same name and surname as his colleague from Guangning, but his appearance is also surprisingly similar. Boom. This sentence is like thunder and lightning. It exploded in Lu Hao's mind. So much so that what Duan Minghong said later, he couldn't hear a word clearly. Let 2 suspects go. Unfortunately, their proof was actually made by themselves. What a shame this is. Anger attacks the heart. Lu Hao took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. He quickly gave orders and said, when is the last train to Guangning? Report to Captain, the only trip is tonight at 8 o'clock, which is 1 hour later. Activate all police forces and follow this train. Zhao Yonan interjected and asked, Marine team, do you need to apply for superior support? No need, the fewer people know about such embarrassing things, the better. Lu Hao gave a dismal smile and said, my old face, I've lost it all today. After saying these words, Lu Hao turned around and left. Leaving everyone peering at each other, I don't know what to do. Only Zhao Yonan looked at Lu Hao's back and whispered, don't worry, Lu team. I will help you recover the face you've lost bit by bit. 1 hour later. Inside a small noodle shop outside Sanping railway station. Jiang Bai and Huang Zongwei are feasting on noodles. Perhaps it's because there are too many chili peppers. The two of them were sweating profusely while eating. On Jiang Bai's table, there is a piece of paper with a number written on it. This is what Jiang Bai took the initiative to ask for from his working sister Amy. According to Jiang Bai's words. Although I helped May make a name for herself. Help her teach those troublemakers a lesson. However, even so, it also caused Amy to lose her job. So Jiang Bai also happily told Amy to wait for her news in her hometown first. Once you have stabilized, introduce your job to Amy. Ami also knows that Jiang Bai and Huang Zongwei are not good friends. But the other party is doing it for their own good, that's enough. Therefore, Ami also readily agreed to Jiang Bai's proposal. I didn't expect that you, kid, were quite thoughtful. After finishing the last bite of noodles, Huang Zongwei smiled and said, you brain, I'm a bit hesitant to let you follow me. Why? Because after all, I'm not following the right path, Huang Zongwei murmured to himself. In this world, going black can indeed earn quick money, but I can't say when I'll be ruined. Brother, I don't agree with your opinion, Jiang Bai said with a smile in his voice, in my opinion, this world is not either black or white, but a delicate gray. Exquisite gray. The more refined Huang Zongwei felt in his heart, the more he felt that this statement was quite meaningful. In the end, he burst out laughing heartily. But what happened the next second suddenly stopped Huang Zongwei's smile. Police cars appeared in sight one by one. What made Huang Zongwei's pupils tighten even more? These police cars seemed to have a clear goal. Roaring towards their direction. Dark clouds. Suppress the city. Chapter 9. Escape to the glorious sunshine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing this scene, Jiang Bai was not at all panicked. Instead, he calmly finished his last sip of noodle soup and laughed loudly, saying, Brother, the actors are already in place. Now it's our turn as actors to appear. Huang Zongwei nodded. Together with Jiang Bai, put on your hat and get up to leave. Walked straight towards the direction of the train station. Meanwhile, inside the train station. Before the police car could stop, Lu Hao couldn't wait to get off the car and headed straight to Director Zhang's office with a dozen or so people. "Director Zhang, did someone come to you just now to buy an anonymous train ticket?" Faced with such a huge formation, Director Zhang of the train station was also taken aback. But at least he is someone who has seen the world before. So he spoke quickly and said, "There are really two people carrying big and small bags, speaking Cantonese, and having a very arrogant attitude. They bought 2 sleeper tickets." During the conversation, Director Zhang pointed to the direction of the train station and said, "No, have you seen those 2 people? It hasn't been long since we entered." At this point, Director Zhang kindly reminded, "If you want to find them, it's best to hurry up. This train will leave in 5 minutes." Not waiting for Director Zhang to finish speaking, Lu Hao led a group of people and rushed over without stopping. On the other hand, Zhao Younan looked at the timetable on the blackboard in the hall, lost in thought. Director Zhang smiled and asked, "Comrade, can I help you with anything?" This sentence woke up Zhao Younan, who turned around and spoke out to Director Zhang, asking, "Director Zhang, I would like to ask if there are any other train services besides Guangning that can be used to quickly travel abroad from Sanping." On the platform. "Attention passengers, train 556 to Guangning is about to stop ticket checking. Passengers who have not yet boarded the train, please hurry to check your tickets and enter the station. Unfortunately, I left too hastily and didn't have time to pray to my ancestors. I don't know when I'll be able to come back after leaving this time." Huang Zongwei felt increasingly uncomfortable as he spoke. "In the end, my eyes turned red even more." Jiang Bai saw the situation and didn't know what to say for a moment. He moved his heart and took out 3 cigarettes from his pocket, saying, "Brother, then let's replace incense with smoke and offer incense to our ancestors. Power should be one of our hearts." "Well said." Huang Zongwei said he would do it. He lit 3 cigarettes, leaned against the corner, and knelt down with a thud. Such actions did not arouse the curiosity and onlookers of other passengers. Even some are used to it. After all, anyone who takes the train number 556 is basically determined to leave home at a young age and return to Guangning to make a living. For every wanderer who leaves their hometown, the inability to integrate into Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou, and the inability to return to one's hometown, are the pains in everyone's heart. It is understandable to do anything out of line in a complex mood. "All right, it's time to go too." Huang Zongwei stood up cleanly and followed Jiang Bai into the train carriage. The 2 of them just walked forward. Lu Hao followed a group of people and chased into the platform. Looking at the bustling crowd, his face turned pale and he said, "Boss, it seems a bit unrealistic to find them before the train starts. I didn't expect it to go so smoothly." Lu Hao took a deep breath and said, "As long as we find them before reaching Guangning Station, we will be considered victorious." After saying these words, Lu Hao rushed in without hesitation. On the car, a police officer has been waiting for a long time. "Marine Squadron, as per your instructions, the entire hard sleeper carriage on number 6 has been locked down. You can enter at any time now." "Well done, Xiao Zhang." Lu Hao patted the other person's shoulder and asked in an uncertain voice, "Are you sure those 2 people have already boarded the car?" "Very certain." The police officer nodded and said forcefully, "Those 2 men carrying big and small bags, it seems like they are going to work in Guangning, but they keep shouting that they are from Guangning, and everyone around them is laughing to death." Lu Hao felt calm in his heart and led his people all the way, charging towards carriage number 6. Along the way, chickens flew and dogs jumped, afraid that the other party might run away. Accompanied by the narrowing of distance, Lu Hao's heartbeat also climbed to its peak. Lu Hao even heard the familiar and strange Guangning Mandarin. "What a blanket, can it be the first time I've taken a train? What a shame, I'm sorry for my mother." Puff. 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 As Lu Hao pulled open the carriage door, His heartbeat has also accelerated to the extreme. In that moment, he even felt dizzy. But when he saw the familiar clothing of that person, he suppressed the feeling of dizziness again. A winning smile appeared on his face. He took a deep breath and walked step by step to the other person's back, saying, "Kid, I caught you. This cat and mouse game is over."